This is the agenda that I have set before my fellow citizens. And the same standards of clarity and candor must now be applied to my opponent. Even at this late hour in the campaign, there are essential things we don't know about Senator Obama or the record that he brings to this campaign. You know, we've all heard what he's said, but it's less clear what he's done or what he will do. What Senator Obama says today and what he's done in the past are often two different things. He's often changed his positions in this campaign, and the best way to determine where he would really take this country is to examine where he's tried to take it in the past. My opponent has invited serious questioning by announcing a few weeks ago that he would, quote, take off the gloves. Since then, whenever I've questioned his policies or his record, he's called me a liar. Rather than answer his critics, Senator Obama will try to distract you from noticing that he never answers the serious and legitimate questions he's been asked. But let me reply in the plainest terms that I know. I don't need lessons about telling the truth to the American people. And were I ever to need any improvement in that regard, I probably wouldn't seek advice from a Chicago politician. You know, my opponent's touchiness every time he's questioned about his record should make us only more concerned. For a guy who's already authored 2 memoirs, he's not exactly an open book. You know, it's as if somehow the usual rules don't apply. And where other candidates have to explain themselves in their records, Senator Obama seems to think he's above all that. Whatever the question, whatever the issue, there's always a backstory with Senator Obama. All people want to know is, what has this man ever actually accomplished in government? What does he plan for America? In short, who is the real Barack Obama? But my friends, you ask such questions, and all you get in response is another angry barrage of insults. Our current economic crisis is a good case in point. What was his actual record in the years before the great economic crisis of our lifetimes? This crisis started in our housing market in the form of subprime loans that were pushed on people who couldn't afford them. Bad mortgages were being backed by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and it was only a matter of time before a contagion of unsustainable debt began to spread. This corruption was encouraged by Democrats in Congress and abetted by Senator Obama. Interestingly, Senator Obama has accused me of opposing regulation to avert this crisis. I guess he believes that if a lie is big enough and repeated often enough, it'll be believed. But the truth is, I was the one who called at the time for tighter restrictions on Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. And it could have helped prevent this crisis from happening in the first place. Senator Obama was silent on the regulation of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and his Democratic allies in Congress opposed every effort to rein them in, every single one. That's a matter of record. As recently as September of last year, he said that subprime loans have been, quote, a good idea. Well, Senator Obama, that good idea has now plunged this country into the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression. You know, to hear him talk now, you'd think he'd always oppose the dangerous practices at these institutions. But there is absolutely nothing in his record to suggest he did. Nothing. Zero. Zippo. Nada. But I want to tell you, he was surely familiar with the people who are creating the problem. Yeah, he knew them. The executives of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have advised him, and he has taken their money for his campaign. He has received more money from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac than any other senator in history, with the exception of the committee, with the exception of the chairman of the committee overseeing him. My friends, while he was taking that money, did he ever talk to the executives of Fannie and Freddie about these reckless loans? Did he ever discuss with them the stronger oversight I proposed? You know, if Senator Obama is such a champion of financial regulation, why didn't he support these regulations that could have prevented this crisis in the first place? You know, he won't tell you, but you deserve an answer. Even after he refused to lift a finger to prevent this crisis, when the crisis hit, he was missing in action. He didn't even start making calls to round up votes until after the rescue bill failed in the House and the markets crashed. We continue to see the price of delay today as the markets continue to fall. Today, the Dow has fallen below 10,000. And yet, members of his own party said they felt no pressure to vote for the bill. Why didn't Senator Obama work to pass this bill from the start? Why did he let it fail and drag out this crisis for a full week before doing a thing to help pass it? I suspended my campaign. I went back to Washington, my friends, because I was putting my country first. Again, on taxes, we see a difference between what Senator Obama says today, what he said yesterday, and what he's actually done. Over the course of this campaign, he's had many different plans to raise your taxes. During the Democratic primary, he promised to double taxes on every American with a dividend or an investment. He promised to raise payroll taxes. He promised higher taxes on electricity. Now Senator Obama claims he will give 95% of Americans tax relief. He actually promised the same thing when he was running for Senate in Illinois, but once elected, he never introduced legislation to do so. Instead, he voted for the Democratic budget resolution that promised to raise taxes on people making just $42,000 a year. At the time, he even said his vote was intended to get, quote, our nation's priorities back on track. To raise your taxes? You know, if he's such a defender of the middle class, why did he vote to raise their taxes? Whatever happened to the tax relief he promised them when he was a candidate for the Senate? And why should middle-class Americans trust him to keep promises that he's already broken?